Hello again and welcome once again to the Circuito de Navarra. Here we are with Ferrari Challenge UK for 2025. Amanda and myself here down on the grid again. It's a great place to be, except we can't quite go onto the grid yet. We're waiting for drivers.
We certainly are, exactly. As you can see, well, we've almost got all of the drivers. We're missing one or two drivers in the Trofeo Pirelli who are just coming through as well. So we're going to be making our way and having a chat to them. We had the most fantastic race yesterday. It was wonderful to see all of these 296s out on track for the first time in the British Series, and looking forward to another brilliant race today.
And we had, of course, so much drama, whether it was in the race and the way the racing was going on, but not only that, the weather played its part as well. So welcome once again to the Circuito de Navarra. Right. Try and chat to whatever drivers that we can, and here is our calendar for 2025. As you can see, it's an eclectic calendar, a great calendar for 2025. Very much looking forward to this UK season and all the iconic circuits that we normally go to. However, we're launching it this year here in Spain. Paul Simerson down there didn't manage to put it on P1. There's only one way you've got to go, Paul. Bless you. Welcome, return to Paul Simerson back in the Ferrari Challenge UK. Amanda, I know you. You're alongside our Copa pole sitter.
I certainly am, but he's not actually in the car at the moment. But as you can see, we've got the most glorious weather conditions here for today's race. Yesterday, of course, we saw a bit of drizzle, but today, as you can see, the track is warm, the air is dry, and with any luck, we're going to actually have a dry race for the rest of the day. Oh, here he comes. There's Stephen Dobson making his way to the track.
Listen, let's get these people back here. Come on, there was photographs going on. Nobody wants to have a photograph with me. Isn't that irritating? Right, as we move further down the order here, great to see you. The grid is always a very busy place when it comes to the Ferrari Challenge UK, with lots going on. Of course, we're into the Trofeo Pirelli cars now, so let me just explain. The cars that you can see with the yellow strip across the top of the windscreen, they are our Copa Shell drivers. The drivers with the red strip across the top of the windscreen, like Gabal Sidhu here, they are our Trofeo Pirelli drivers, and that's where Amanda is right now. Hang on, because I can see Mike Dewhurst approaching right now, about to jump into his car. Not going to disturb you for long. Well done, pole position. Can you turn it into P1 in the race, Mike?
Hope so.
Good luck to you. Mike Dewhurst then, our pole sitter in Copa Shell. As I was saying, Amanda Stretton is in with the Trofeo Pirelli cars.
I am indeed. We didn't actually get all the way up the top of the grid yesterday. We were too busy chatting. But I just wanted to see if I can have a very quick word with Joe Dean. So, Joe, you had a bit of an eventful day yesterday. Looking forward, you're reunited with your car now. So what are you looking forward to today?
Looking forward to hopefully having a good start. Obviously, it was my first race start yesterday, so it was a bit nervous, to be honest. Made a few mistakes, but looking to correct those today.
An awful lot to look forward to. Weather's looking better. Go well. I hope you enjoy it. Starting alongside him, of course, we've got John McCarr. He is sitting in his very lovely black car as well. But the other guy I wanted to talk to is Callum Leatham. Now, he is in P3. He and Oscar had the most fantastic race yesterday. The two of them were battling all the way through. And it looked like Callum possibly had a bit more speed, just couldn't quite find his way past. Now, he's qualified in third. Oscar is alongside him in fourth. So I'm going to just see if I can jump in and have a quick word with Callum. Hi. How are you feeling?
Nervous, yeah. Very nervous. Yeah.
Right, we spoke yesterday after the race. You and Oscar were absolutely on it all the way through. It was really where we were watching. You were struggling to actually make your way past. Qualifying in front of him was your focus for today, and you've done it.
Yep, it's very good. Hopefully I can, stick, very close to Gilbert. And last time I kind of let Oscar in because I was told, the first turn's always really bad. So I didn't want to ruin my car or anything. So today I'm going to try my hardest.
Okay, so what was your big takeout? What was the biggest thing you learnt in the race yesterday?
I don't really give anyone an inch otherwise, because I let him in front and I'm stuck behind him the whole race. I'm not going to do that again. And then, yeah, and hopefully no one brake checks me this time.
Well, listen, go well, good luck. Now, Oscar, if I am right,
I'm going to butt in if you don't mind, Amanda, because I've got to leg it up to the comms booth. But I just wanted to have a very quick word with the guy that's going from P2 Trofeo Pirelli, because you'll be speaking to the pole sitter, and that's Pranav Vangala going from P2. Go well, Pranav. You very nearly got him around the outside yesterday. You're going to try and do the same again?
I don't want to give anything away today, Dave, obviously, but hopefully I get a great start like I did yesterday and can capitalise on that.
Go well, and back to Amanda now, and we'll see you in comms in just a mo.
thanks very much, Dave. I'm going to let you wing your way like the little fairy that you are up into the commentary booth. And meanwhile, I'm going to have a quick chat with Oscar. Now, you made a really strategic decision in qualifying not to go out and finish the whole session by protecting your tyres. Now, you've got Callum starting alongside you. You and he yesterday in the race were pretty much, you know, it was the battle to watch. So what do you anticipate today?
I mean, I actually have no idea. We're going to see when it starts. I mean, the start of every race, that's where stuff can really happen. If it's a nice, clean race, hopefully I can do the same as yesterday, get ahead of him, and change a few things with what we're going to be doing around the track, so maybe be able to keep up a little bit better with the front runners, who knows. Or I've been out and I got to work my way back up, who knows. But after first half a lap, we'll know.
More will be told. What was your big takeout of the race yesterday? Because for so many of the guys, it was first race, also first time at this track as well, first time in this car. So many things to be taking on board. I
mean, the two guys ahead very fast. You can really see where the experience of doing a lot of races comes into hand. They did absolutely exceptional, and yeah, I think it's just yet again we'll see.
Well, listen, go well, enjoy. We're going to very much enjoy watching what goes on there. Now, I know David obviously just had a word with Pranav, who really has shown his experience. Everything he learned last year really came into effect for him in the race yesterday, because he was very much on the tail with Gilbert Yates. But one man we didn't really get a chance to talk to was Gilbert. Gilbert, are we going to expect the same today that we saw yesterday?
I hope so. Yeah.
So you're just going to sail off into the distance. You're going to lead the race, first corner, happy days.
Well, I'll be doing my best to try. We'll have to see what happens.
Now, just quickly, I want to talk about your son as well, because he's obviously out in the club challenge as well. He's going incredibly quick. What is it about the Yates DNA?
We were trying to work out earlier on because he is very quick today. He's probably going to take over me now soon.
Oh. Well, you better be careful, because he's going to be angling his way for your seat. Right, so there we have it. That is the grid for race 2. David, I'm sure he's making his way up there. The cars are going to be starting any minute. We seem to be having a little bit of a delay, because normally at this point I'm getting ushered off the grid, the cars are starting, and I'm pretty much the last person to be leaving the grid. But it doesn't seem that we've got that as well. But anyway, in a few moments' time, you're going to be able to take a look at this incredible Navarra circuit. Now, this is a new circuit, as you've heard us say already, for these drivers and for the championship. It's a circuit that's had a lot of work done to it over the last few months, getting ready for this season, and the whole back section of it has been completely reprofiled. One of the really interesting things about the track is the fact that there's actually very little for the drivers to use as sort of reference points when it comes to where to turn in. There's an awful lot of green. There isn't really anything else for them to use as sort of braking points and turn-in points. But anyway, we've just seen the safety car pull off. He's now starting to go, and that is, of course, our cue to start getting off the grid. So we're now going to make our way. Whistles are blowing, which is always a sign that it's time to expedite. And in the green flag has just gone, and there go the cars.
Thank you so much, Amanda Stretton, doing a brilliant job down there on the grid for us as the cars are released then around this extraordinary 4.313 kilometre Navarra circuit. 17 turns, 6 left, 11 right. opened back in 2010. We have race 2 for Ferrari Challenge UK about to get underway. Sean Rand goes from P18. Hussein Sert goes from P17. This is the grid in full. Darren Howell from P16. It's Paul Rogers going from P15. Jonathan Satchel and Paul Dixon occupy the 7th row of the grid. It's P14 and 13, with Stephen Dobson and Peter Hunter going from row 6. They could be danger men from there to the 2 that are on the front row of the Copa Shell grid, Paul Simerson and Mike Dewhurst. Bal Sidhu and Fedor Samarukov as we go from back to front with our grid of Trofeo Pirelli cars. John Markar and Joseph Dean are on the 3rd row. Then it's Oscar Rinčević and Callum Leatham that are P4 and P3. And going from P2 and P1 on the front row of the grid, it's Pranav Vangala P2. Gilbert Yates once again goes from pole position. All the scene is set for what should be another blistering Ferrari Challenge race. I remind you that the Trofeo Pirelli cars that you can see center screen right now have got the red strip across the top of the windscreen, and our Copa Shell drivers have the yellow strip across the top of the windscreen. Of course, they are driving for completely separate classifications. As I'm delighted to say, Amanda has joined me here in comms. What's irritating is you can come up here and still look lovely. However, I'm just like a bag of spanners having sprinted up here from the grid.
You floated like a fairy.
Fairy. Thank you, Amanda, very much. I have to say, the sense of excitement and anticipation I felt down there on the grid was electric for this race.
Do you know, I think all of the drivers are feeling so much more confident and secure. Yesterday, everybody is, you know, they're excited. They've got the new season, new car, new track. Everything's a first. Now we've got that first one out of the way. Everybody sort of knows what to expect. They know what the first corner is going to be like. So I think there's an awful lot more anticipation.
I tried so hard to get Pranav Vangala to reveal where he was going to try and put a move on Gilbert Yates at the beginning of the race. He's wily. He's not going to tell you that, Dave.
It's funny, this is actually a very narrow track. So overtaking is going to be a real challenge for all of the cars. We definitely saw that yesterday as well. Callum Leatham really struggling to make his way past Oscar Rinčević. So it is going to be a track that is quite lungy. It's going to be really important that if people are going to make overtaking moves, easiest done at the very beginning of the race.
That's often said, isn't it? Do it at the beginning of the race if you possibly can. So there we can see. Now, it's a formation lap. It's always a rolling start in the Ferrari Challenge. The Richard Mills safety car has peeled off into the pit lane. That means it is the responsibility of Gilbert Yates and Pranav Vangala to control the pace of the rolling start. There's Paul Rogers, you can see. He's out of position, if I dare say, from qualifying. He'll be wanting to right the wrongs of qualifying and make it up in the race. They have one corner to turn, which is turn 17. Then they see the start-finish straight and the uphill climb and the lighting gantry, which we throw to the top of the screen so that you can see when the lights go out as well. All the drivers must cross through their grid boxes as we go racing. Gilbert Yates, Pranav Vangala once again. Pranav getting a brilliant start. Is it good enough? Gilbert Yates in the second phase of the start appears to be going really well. And sure enough, Gilbert Yates is able to shut the door and say thank you very much. P1 to P1.
Do you know, I actually wonder if Oscar Rinčević had actually overtaken Callum Leatham going over the line. I'd be interesting to look at the restart again there, but it looked like he had, maybe Callum had fallen back, but it looked like maybe that was a pass. I don't know about that.
Well, we often see that the race is under investigation, and we will see if that happens, because it does appear that Oscar Rinčević is losing out. But Gilbert Yates, Pranav Vangala, they're not losing out. Mike Dewhurst and Paul Simerson have already got past Bal Sidhu, who is a Trofeo Pirelli driver, with Mr. J.D. Satchel, Jonathan, running P3 in our Copa Shell drivers at the moment.
I actually make a mistake. I think it was Fedor that had actually...
I think you're right.
Yeah, I think it was him. So, interesting.
Simerson around the outside of Mike Dewhurst. Forgive me interrupting you, Amanda, but it's a big, bold move there. Move. Has he made it stick? If he can make this work all the way around the outside, it will be the move of the day, surely. So in Copa Shell, we just saw Paul Simerson trying to put it around the outside of Mike Dewhurst. And I think he has been able to do it. I think Paul Simerson has moved up into the lead of Copa Shell. We're watching the Trofeo Pirelli cars, but let's take a look. Yes, Paul Simerson, the first of the yellow,
made it stick.
He's made it stick. So he's gone through into P1, having gone all the way around the outside of Mike Dewhurst. I am sure we will get a replay of that fantastic overtake. You've got to have big, round, spherical things to do that, and Paul did.
Yes, he certainly did. Well, he had a point to prove, didn't he? He was race winner. Oh, a little bit of contact there and some bodywork. Rather unsteady. Somebody's out on the grass.
Yeah, big save that
like
was, to be fair.
Yes.
And you can see some damage to the car. It's kind of crawling to one side, isn't it? And there's the resultant damage on the back end of that car, which I think is, it's Joe Dean who is dropping down the order from the blue and white car. Yellow flag at turn 17. That's where the incident happened. He'd got it onto the start-finish straight, but he was having to put it onto the grass, as you quite rightly said. And here we can see a full course yellow safety car is going to be called for then, presumably. There is the Joe Dean car, which is stricken. That's really, really unfortunate. It's all part of the rich tapestry of learning in motor racing. And Oscar Rinčević then with the damage to the back of his car now. Oscar had gone backwards. Here's the race start. Amanda, talk us through it.
Here's the race start, yes. No, it just looked like everybody was in position. It was my mistake. But what happens here? Because Oscar Rinčević seems to suddenly drop back. This must have happened slightly further round. Oh, here we go. This maybe looks like where the damage happened in turn 1 and 2, going into the first corner.
He was stuck on the outside.
He was stuck on the outside,
unfortunately, once you're on the outside, all of a sudden it's a train of cars that will come through on the inside, isn't it?
Absolutely, yeah. So just a small rookie error. And this is the overtaking move that saw us trading places for first position in Copa-Shell. Great move there.
It was at this point, it was almost a double apex turn, isn't it? Where you've got to be so brave, you've got to stick it all the way around the outside, and that is precisely what Paul Simpson did.
Yeah, really used his experience there. And here's this, this is the damage. Gosh, virtually nothing.
Oh, it was just a really, really unfortunate racing incident.
Rub. Yeah, very small little rub. So hopefully not too much damage there.
Okay, so we continue on our way then. 30-minute race plus 1 lap. Double waved yellows, as you can see, across the start-finish straight. I'm rather thinking that the safety car is going to have to be called for the recovery of that Joe Dean car, because it is on the start-finish straight, but race control, of course, keeping an eye on absolutely everything, and they know what's right, wrong. And here you can see Paul Siverson and Mike Dewhurst. Now, Mike Dewhurst, Amanda, will be livid that he was able to not defend his P1 position, and Paul Siverson came around the outside.
Yeah, absolutely. Mike was so happy to have got that pole position in Copa-Shell earlier on. Really, really strung it together, and had a fairly convincing margin.
It was 5 tenths, very nearly 6 tenths if memory serves me.
He put in an absolutely incredible lap. I'm just looking down the pits, actually. I can see a marshal at the exit of turn 17 on the entry to the straight, just picking up some debris then from Joe's car, I think.
Okay, so we can see that
and there's
from our
damage actually as well
studio, and now Mike Dewhurst is lighting up the wick once again. Now, this will be at the danger, this car number 21, which is driven by Oscar Rinčević. He will be in danger of receiving the meatball flag, which is the flag with the orange disc in the middle, isn't it, which says about a mechanical defect, and basically that's panel work rubbing off the back of the car.
It is, and it could easily fall off. They will obviously be taking a very close look at that to decide whether or not anything is lighted. It does look like it's not particularly well held on or secure. There's also, looks like, is there a little bit of damage at the front as well? I couldn't quite see there. No, I think that was just my imagination. But yes, no, that is not looking good. So I don't think it's going to be too long before we see, I'm just having a look down. No, I can't see, oops, he can't see anything at the moment. If he gets a flag or a warning. But there again, we see Joe Dean's car parked on the side, waiting for someone to...
I don't think it's parked, Amanda. I think it's very slowly getting towards that safety exit. And I think that's why we're avoiding.
No, actually, I can see now from where we're sat, the lorry is there. It's actually going to pick the car up. Now, we were looking at this yesterday. This is a really interesting feature on these new cars. There are fixing points on the roof of the car that the tow vehicle can actually pick the car up from the outside of the Armco. Doesn't have to come onto the track, so we don't need a safety car. These fixing bolt into the roof of the car, and the car is simply lifted over the Armco onto the flatbed trailer, so it can be removed as we speak. And that car is indeed floating mid-air, being carried out off the track now. So we will be going back to green flag racing in just a moment.
Yes, we've only got the Yellow flag flying at that particular sector as the great recovery team here make the already quick Ferrari Challenge 296 car fly now as the car is recovered of Joe Dean and put onto the safety of the recovery truck. And it's a great pity that Joseph Dean's race is over. It seemed like it was a really innocuous racing incident, but these things happen. As I said in our broadcast yesterday, motor racing can be brutal, but it can also be beautiful as well. It's why we love it. Now, Paul Simonson's done a very good job here, because what Paul Simmonson has done is he's put the John Marcar between himself and Mike Dewhurst now. So the run for P1 in Copa-Shell, well, Paul Simonson has got the benefit of a Trofeo Pirelli car between himself and Mike Dewhurst now. So Mike will be desperately trying to get by that Trofeo Pirelli car. Meantime, Gilbert Yates up the road by 2.809 seconds over Pranav Fankala, who in turn is another 3 and a bit seconds ahead of Callum Leatham. So that's the way it looks. But this is Mike Dewhurst trying to overtake a effectively Trofeo Pirelli car, and that car is John Marcar. And sure enough, we are going to be seeing the meatball flag, the black flag with the orange disc. It's going to be waved to car number 21, the Oscar Rinčević car, which is running P5 at the moment. Now, Amanda.
Annoying for Oscar. That's really disappointing.
Yes.
Because the car is running. He will be looking to optimise his points this weekend, having had a really strong podium finish yesterday as well. He'll be really frustrated to have to come in and have that just piece of bodywork removed from the car. But it is, of course, done for safety, because if it does fly off, it could cause serious damage or indeed an incident later on.
So it's Gilbert Yates and Pranav Fankala and Callum Leatham. They are the top 3 for our Trofeo Pirelli cars. For our Shell drivers, it is Paul Simonson ahead of Mike Dewhurst, and Peter Hunter is P3 ahead of Stephen Dobson. Darren Howell. Great showing from Paul Dixon once again, who's holding it together ahead of Paul Rogers at the moment. That's the way it looks in Copa-Shell, trying to keep you across both of the battles, or all of the battles across both of the categories that are going on. We're watching the fight for P4 now with Oscar Rinčević. And Oscar Rinčević with that meatball flag, which is not a penalty, it's just a warning that there are elements of the car perhaps not where they should be, and that might be hampering Oscar Rinčević's performance here as he tries to really reel in the car of Fedor. He's going to do a late move on the inside. No, he was just showing his face.
This is really good race strategy, really good, because Fedor's going to be looking in his mirrors. He's going to be seeing Oscar looking for a gap, looking for a mistake, and just waiting for his opportunity to make the move and try and get the pass.
Race duration is 30 minutes plus 1 lap. We've already seen the first 8.5 minutes of the race completed. It goes by in a flash when you're having fun. And we are having fun watching these fantastic cars across Trofeo Pirelli and Copa-Shell as the first round of the Ferrari Challenge UK is underway here at the Navarra circuit in Spain. And Copa-Shell drivers and Trofeo Pirelli drivers that you can see. And that is a back-marking Trofeo Pirelli car. This is the leader in Copa-Shell, and that is Paul Simonson ahead of Mike Dewhurst. Now, Mike Dewhurst has got back to being on real terms with Paul Simonson now.
Yeah, not letting that gap get anywhere near as big as it had got, and he's going to stick on his tail and see if Paul makes any type of error or just manages to get past in any way.
Great driving there and awareness by another driver there, keeping out of the way. And car number 23 receives a warning with regards to track limits, and that's Bal Sidhu. And the live gap between Paul Simonson and Mike Dewhurst, you can see in graphics at the bottom of your screen right now. Paul Simonson is a great racing driver. It's great to have him back in the Ferrari Challenge. So too is Mike Dewhurst. If there's a difficult driver to overtake, Paul Simonson has got to be right up the top of there. He is going to be hard to overtake. However, at the moment, the gap between them is like 7.5 tenths. So Paul Simonson is managing this. We're going to get the live gap right now between P1 and P2 in Copa-Shell, and it stays about the same. I think there were 5/100ths difference between the last lap.
Now it's just a case of the drivers really settling into a groove, just getting some time, getting everything settled. The race is starting to sort of play out and people are starting to find their positions. Now is the time for everybody to sort of settle, take a breather.
Oscar Rinjovic has come into the pit lane. I can see from my message screen that Oscar Rinjovic, who had been shown the black flag with the orange disc, he's come in. Deft use of gaffer tape, I suspect, will be applied by the team that drive the Oscar Rinjovic, the Breakaway Glasgow team. They will work like heck in terms of getting him back out again, because, of course, getting him back out again, points are still a possibility, but what's more important is that Data is able to come back to the team as well, and of course it's seat time for Oscar Rinjovic as well, so I'm sure we've not seen the last of him. Have we seen the last of Mike Dewhurst's efforts in trying to get past Paul Simerson?
I don't think so. That gap looks like it's getting even smaller.
I do. So now Paul Simerson's got a Trofeo Pirelli car ahead of him. I think it is a Trofeo Pirelli car ahead of him. And I think it's Fedor who makes way. Does he? No, of course he's got track position in his own race.
Absolutely, he does indeed. But there he is, moving over, not quite sort of assertively enough in order for Paul Simerson to actually make the pass. But this is wonderful news for Mike Dewhurst.
This could play right into the hands of Mike Dewhurst, who might be rubbing his hands with invisible soap right now, because is this going to present an opportunity as Paul Simerson is very, very busy trying to find a way past Fedor? Is Mike Dewhurst going to be able to go all the way around the outside of both of them potentially, or perhaps nip it on the inside? Let's see what they do at the conclusion of the start-finish straight then. This fight that is going on for P1 in Coperchel at the moment is between Paul Simerson and Mike Dewhurst. And there you can see Mike Dewhurst diving to the inside. Paul Simerson went right. That was brought about by the backmarking car of Fedor. So Mike Dewhurst, he was just cool, calm and collected, Amanda, and he was just waiting for something to go wrong, and wrong it did for Paul Simerson.
Absolutely. I think Paul was so busy focused on the car in front of him. And there he's spinning as well. He's, he's obviously angry with himself and just pushing a little bit too hard. He will be kicking himself.
Well, that will, of course, play into the hands of Peter Hunter and Steve Dobson, and potentially Darren Howell as well. Paul Simerson has recovered the car very, very quickly. There you can see the number 25 car of Steve Dobson, who has effectively gone up into a podium place now. But Paul Simerson will have something to say about that. If nothing else, he's going to get a podium out of this. Steve Dobson tries to block and goes to the inside line. Paul Simerson's going to have to go all the way around the outside here. He will be livid that actually he was caught out, really, wasn't he?
He was caught out. The back marker in front of him, I think the two of them were so focused on one another that they just simply missed their braking point, went off the track, and of course that played perfectly into the hands of Mike Dewhurst, who optimised on it.
Well, Paul Simerson has got through,
and
he's got himself back on the provisional podium. I say provisional, we've still got over half of the race to run. But he now will try and want to get on terms, if I may say, with Peter Hunter. But I'll tell you what.
There's 5 seconds in it.
There is, and fair play. Steve Dobson has not given up on this either.
No, he's going to. Looks like he's very much staying in as much as he can on Paul's tails there. But look at this. I mean, the gap at the moment with Gilbert Yates, he really has got himself into a very comfortable position, almost 3 seconds ahead of Pranav Vangala.
The pale blue colours of this 296 challenge are the colours opted by one of the loudest characters in the paddock,
it's
Mr.
very
Peter
subdued,
Hunter.
actually, isn't it?
It's subdued for Peter, you're quite right. Well, Peter Hunter, of course, is running P2 at the moment. Mike Dewhurst, who's out on his own now. He's got clear track ahead of him, clear track behind him. He's able to set the fastest lap. That says something about the longevity of these Pirelli tyres, which, of course, the drivers have qualified on as well. Half race distance. Now, Mike Dewhurst is able to put in the fastest lap. No traffic to bother him. He is going to really maximise the gap over Peter Hunter. An incident that is under investigation, we can see from our message screen, Amanda, is...
It's between Oscar Rinkovic and Joseph Dean. So obviously whatever it was that caused Joe to have to retire his car is going to be under investigation down at turn 17. Much earlier on in the race, it feels like it was ages ago.
It does feel like it was ages ago. I have to say, I'm so glad I don't sit in race control, which incidentally in race control is Miguel Molina, Ferrari factory driver who acts as driver ambassador and driver advisor in race control.
Gosh, all the things you know.
I reckon he'll say that was a racing incident. I mean, that's how we saw it. Thank goodness we never make those decisions.
Do you know, I think that's a thankless task. I'd definitely be keeping my head down.
How many times have you been in the steward's room arguing?
Do you know, never.
Oh,
Actually, never arguing. No, explaining myself once or twice, but never actually having to argue with anybody. I don't argue with anybody.
No,
I'm the least
to be fair.
arguey person.
pretty mild-mannered. Gilbert Yates and Pranav Vangala are P1 and P2 in Trofeo Pirelli with a margin of, tell you what, that margin, it was bigger than it was. It's come down to just under 3 seconds. Has Pranav Vangala got the hurry up, or is Gilbert Yates just playing here?
I think Gilbert.
Oh no, I think it's going to be traffic.
There's probably a bit of traffic involved, and Gilbert knows that there's no point pushing too hard. He can just. He's got a reasonable grip on this race, and no point pushing too hard.
Let's just talk about this young man,
Callum
Leatham. I mean, what is it? I mean, Gilbert Yates is P1. Where does Gilbert Yates come from?
Northern Ireland.
Right. Callum Leatham, who has never raced anything, a bit like Andrew Morrow, a former Ferrari Challenge Trofeo Pirelli UK champion, comes from Northern Ireland as well. Never raced anything. Look at him. He's running P3 in Trofeo Pirelli, Amanda.
It's fantastic. I mean, yesterday we could see the potential in this young man. He was driving really, really well. And he's as cool as a cucumber as well. When you talk to him, he's so laid back.
Yes.
You think, gosh, really? Then you see him get in the car, and my goodness, does he turn the key then?
As we're looking at Callum Leatham, who is in the P3 position in Trofeo Pirelli at the moment, Mike Dewhurst has put 3 Trofeo Pirelli cars between himself and the hard-charging Peter Hunter. And Peter Hunter, in turn, is 2 seconds ahead of Paul Simonson. So the big fight that was going on in Coperchel has kind of gone away now, hasn't it?
It has, absolutely. Gosh, Paul Simpson is going to be kicking himself. It would be very interesting to hear what he has to say about that. But I'm sure he's going to be just kicking himself for making really what was just a silly error.
He did make an error in losing the back end of the car, but my goodness me, his recovery was really
phenomenal.
quick. Come on, let's give him credit for pulling that car around and being able to, he's going to be back on the podium again. It's not going to be a bad weekend's work on his return for Paul Simonson if everything stays this way. With a win yesterday and a P3 today, he's going to be in a very good position in the championship.
Oh, he will indeed. But I mean, these guys want to get out there and stand on the top step of the podium, don't they?
Course.
So, yes, he will be.
A lot of movement going on here.
Well, there's a lot to learn.
Bal Sidhu, who I have to say is a very, very welcome addition into the Ferrari Challenge, along with John Marcar as well.
And look at that. I mean, the Fedor making up some incredible places.
I agree.
Yeah, up 3 places. Well done him.
Super driving we're seeing from our Ferrari Challenge drivers. Out on his own a bit is this man. The yellow and red striped car that you've just seen go out of picture is the car of Mike Dewhurst, who is leading for Dick Love at Swindon in Ferrari Challenge Coperchel. Leading for Ferrari Challenge Trofeo Pirelli for the Charles Hurst organisation is one Mr. Gilbert Yates, last year's Trofeo Pirelli UK champion, as it were. So here he is defending his championship win all the way through the season, as Amanda has mentioned. There's clearly talent in the waters over there because his son is in the Club Challenge, which is it runs on the Ferrari Challenge weekends as well, and basically it's not racing, but it's driving against the clock, where you're trying to improve your times all the time. And he's a bit of a young whippersnapper, I'm given to understand, with some talent.
Absolutely. Talking to Paul Dixon just before the race, he also had been doing Club Challenge,
of course,
last year, just saying what an incredible experience it was and how much valuable experience it was leading into moving up, if you like, into the challenge itself. Just how the weekend works, how to prepare, thinking about just how the pits work, how the garages work, how the cars work. It's he was definitely saying what an incredible learning lesson that was for him, now that he has moved up into the big school.
Yes. These 3 are awesome to watch, I must say. So you've got Fedor, you've got John Marcar, as we go back now to our Coperchel drivers, but the battle that's going on for P5 and P6. Now, this is Darren Howell, who raced last year, of course, and Paul Dixon, who is running P6. Another really creditable performance from Paul Dixon, up from the Club Challenge into the Ferrari Challenge this year. He's running in P6 and doing a very good job, and actually is marginally quicker than Darren Howell ahead of him, but This is all part of the rich tapestry of motor racing. It's all very well being quicker than the car in front of you. You've got to find a way by as well. Now, Paul Dixon is coached by Jody Fanning, and Jody is no mean driver in his own right, and he will be and has been advising Paul Dixon very well. But I was talking to Jody off the air and saying, you must be pretty pleased with how Paul has taken to this, and he said, yeah, really, really well. He's cool, calm, collected, and he's doing a good job running in P6.
We've got some terrific liveries this year as well. I have to say, I think my favourite is Paul Rogers, that purple and pink car that you can see in the background. I think that really stands out.
I'm just laughing to myself because Paul Rogers is ahead of Jonathan
I'm so
Satchel.
glad you laughed to yourself.
So Paul Rogers is running P7 in Coperchel, and just behind him is Jonathan Satchel running P8. And Jonathan Satchel is one of the most polite gentlemen I've ever met in my life, and he said to me, if you think you could, Dave, during the broadcast, if you could say about Paul Rogers that his nickname is Shoulda, Woulda, Coulda, because in qualifying there was every reason possible why he didn't do better. I mean, that's just illustrative of the wonderful camaraderie there is between the drivers in the Ferrari Challenge, whether Trofeo Pirelli or Coperchel. The banter is brilliant.
It is, yeah, they all get on very well. And that's, I think, one of the joys when everybody eats together, everybody sort of sits in the hospitality together.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's no escaping.
No, there isn't. I'll tell you what, Fedor is doing I mean, if there was an objective lesson in how to defend your position, Fedor, up until now, had been able to really say this is how you do it. And just as I mentioned that, John Marquardt has found a way by.
But he's been trying for some time now.
Hammer and tongs,
yes,
the
exactly.
expression I'd like to throw into this. Oh, just in the back of the picture. Sorry. You can just say that Paul Simerson now has got Peter Hunter within his target sights.
Oh, well done, Peter.
So, with 7 minutes left to run, now Peter Hunter is potentially going to get held up by the traffic ahead of him, allowing Paul Simerson to get ever closer. It's the fight that will be going on for P2 in Coperchel, as we see retirement here for, I think that's...
Sean Ran.
Sean Ran out, isn't it?
I don't think, yeah, Sean Ran out. That was like a pun.
Yes, I just realised that.
Sean Ran is out, yes.
In replay, super slow-mo. That was a great overtake, which he'd set up 2 corners before that one.
Yeah, beautiful move there, nice and clean.
Nice execution by John Marquardt there. There's Pranav Vangala running P2 with the gap down to 1.2 now. Just the back end of the Gilbert Yates car looked a bit loose then. Is Gilbert Yates in strife here? All of a sudden, Pranav Vangala is really closing down. Has he been cooler on his tyres? Has he worked those tyres better perhaps than Gilbert Yates? And in the final 6 minutes plus 1 lap, are we going to see a potential fight for P1? Look at the gap evolution. Pranav Vangala,
half a second up on that last lap,
is quicker than Gilbert Yates right now.
It'd be interesting to see what the reason for that is. We didn't really notice that one coming along. Maybe Gilbert made a mistake, because it now looks like he's pulled that gap back out a little bit.
I agree, whether he's just playing there.
Yeah.
Incidentally, Balsidou is going to pick up a time penalty for track limits excursions, but we want to stick with this battle at the moment because 1.545 over the last timing line for the gap between Gilbert Yates and Pranav Vangala. Now, Gilbert Yates won the championship last year. I said Paul Simerson's going to be on Peter Hunter
and he's
in a few laps' time. To heck with a few laps, he's done it in a few metres.
Well done, Bob. Paul obviously has got the bit between his teeth, having dropped those places. Did not want to see that podium disappear too far out of his grasp. Made his way past Stephen Dobson, is now hunting down Peter Hunter. He's a difficult man to pass.
Yes, he is. I tell you what, the gap between Yates and Vangala, it continues to come down. It is only by tenths, but it is coming down. But now there are certain sectors where Gilbert Yates is quicker than Pranav Vangala, and I think it's sector 2. So it's Yates, Vangala, Leatham, the top 3. Trofeo Pirelli for the AM drivers. Mike Dewhurst, he's in an unassailable position. Don't want to give him the commentator's curse, but he is. Peter Hunter and Paul Simerson are P2 and P3 in Coperchel, but there is nothing between them. 3 tenths. I think Gilbert is. I just think he's not handling as well as Pranav Vangala's. I think it's nothing other than tyre deg.
Could be, it could be. But he seems. Oh, there we go. Pranav Vangala flashing his lights.
1.2
trying
now.
everything he can to
Gilbert seems to be managing it, doesn't he?
yeah, he doesn't look like he's stressing too much. I think he's having to actually just work quite hard the last few minutes and few laps of this race.
Yeah.
Doesn't look like he's giving up the fight anytime soon, though. It still looks like he's driving that car. But the gap, again, looks like it's really dropped back down again.
Yeah, wherever Pranav is able to, he is taking advantage.
Yeah, we're down to 0.9 of a second, so like half a second gone there. It must be tyres, I think you're right.
As we've said so many times before, though, it's all very well being quicker than the car that is in front of you. You've got to find a way by him with just 3.5 minutes plus 1 lap to do so. Has Pranav left it too late to try and put a charge on the Gilbert Yates car? We will see.
And I think Gilbert will make it very difficult. He's a wily old fox, and I don't think he's going to make it easy for Pranav Vangala to make any kind of move. But there we see Peter Hunter still in the lead of the chasing down Paul Simerson.
Yes, Peter Hunter running in P2. Pranav has got by him. Pranav is ahead of Gilbert Yates.
What, we missed that move. That would be very interesting.
We'll see that in replay, I am sure. But I think Pranav Vangala, I wonder now whether Gilbert Yates has maybe got a slow puncture because that car is sliding a bit.
It is. There you see, just on the exit of the corner, a lot of wobble going on. And of course, something like that just unsteadies you as a driver when you don't feel you can trust the car beneath you to
You've got to manage it.
And there he's well off.
What he doesn't want to do, of course, is lose out to Callum Leatham as well. But Pranav Vangala, who was just slowly encroaching, he has got by Gilbert Yates.
Oh, another wobble.
Here it is in replay, Amanda. He ran wide.
He ran wide, but he's been running wide. There's very nice to have given each other room like that.
And in fairness, you know, Gilbert Yates could have potentially shut the door then, but he didn't do that. He allowed racing room.
And Gilbert Yates has been given a warning for track limits for that. I'm not sure if it was that or coming out of the exit of turn 17 onto the straight. Both times looked like he was definitely pushing quite hard. Definitely looks like there could be some sort of problem with the handling of that car, because now Pranav has got past. Gilbert really is slipping down the order slightly, 1.4 seconds.
Right, he's got a huge margin over Callum Leatham. We've got 1.5 minutes plus 1 lap. And in replay, this is where the track limits was incurred by Gilbert Yates. I mean, basically,
this is coming on. This is turn 17. Yeah.
He is driving a car which is not handling perfectly for whatever reason, and I still think he might have a slow puncture here.
And he's off again.
It's getting worse.
Yes, absolutely. There is definitely something.
He's trying to nurse this car home, Amanda. How difficult must this be for Gilbert Yates? He's having to dig deep and use every bit of his ability to try and just get this car back. He desperately wants to bank as many points as possible. The race win has gone awry. Pranav Vangala is now 3 seconds up the road. Gilbert Yates, well, of stiff resolve in terms of how he is driving this ill-handling car with but half a minute plus 1 lap remaining. Here is Pranav Vangala then, our new race leader in Ferrari Challenge Trofeo Pirelli. For our Shell drivers, it remains Mike Dewhurst ahead of Peter Hunter and Paul Simerson. The gap between Hunter and Simerson is less than half a second. But Pranav Vangala got it all together. Amanda, we say thank you very much for your support in comms. She's off ready to host the podium now. And Pranav Vangala then, on the opening round of the UK Challenge, might be taking his first win today. Mike Dewhurst for the Shell drivers, Pranav Vangala for the Pirelli drivers. Currently, that's the way it looks. Pranav Vangala ahead of Gilbert Yates and Callum Leatham. This is Mike Dewhurst, though, leader in Shell, ahead of Peter Hunter and Paul Simerson. Steve Dobson running P4, Darren Howell P5, Paul Dixon P6 and Paul Rogers P7. And there the order on the left-hand side of your screen. About to start the final lap. Here comes Pranav Vangala. Gilbert Yates doing a brilliant job of nursing that car. He retains that P2 place. It's Callum Leatham that is running P3. So Pranav Vangala then, who is driving for the fantastic team that look after him so well. Really enjoying his time with HRO in getting past back-marking cars. So Pranav Vangala, who of course was on the podium yesterday, but it was P2. He was the bridesmaid yesterday, aiming to be the bride right now, Pranav Vangala. Gilbert Yates P2, Callum Leatham P3, Mike Dewhurst then leading for our Copa Shell drivers ahead of Peter Hunter and Paul Simerson. The gap is just a couple of tenths, though, between Hunter and Simerson. Is there going to be a last-minute change in the P2, P3 place on the podium? Well, of course, Paul Simerson will do everything he possibly can. But Pranav Vangala then just nailing every apex, keeping it cool, calm and collected. To bring the car home to the checkered flag, Mike Dewhurst doing the same. Both our leaders kind of out on their own with no threats coming from behind. But bear in mind, Mike Dewhurst has, in the race overall, has moved up some 5 places. But of course, started on pole position, lost the lead initially to Paul Simerson, but managed to wrestle it back. And now Pranav Vangala then with just a couple of turns to do. We'll see the checkered flag unfurling. His parents who are here will be extremely happy as Pranav Vangala sees the checkered flag and wins for Ferrari Challenge UK Trofeo Pirelli. Pranav Vangala is the victor. And crossing the line, Gilbert Yates takes P2 and Callum Leatham then will take P3 for our Trofeo Pirelli drivers. He's some way back on Gilbert Yates, which is just as well for Gilbert Yates. Here's Callum Leatham then. He crosses the line and takes the checkered flag. This is Johnny Satchell crossing the line, but he is a Copa Shell driver that's a bit down the order. And a bit up the road is this driver, Mike Dewhurst. So in the striking livery of his 296 Challenge car, Mike Dewhurst heads towards the checkered flag. Kind of a perfect day for Mike Dewhurst. Took pole position, and now he takes the race win. Mike Dewhurst wins. Coming through for P2, is it going to be Peter Hunter? Is it going to be Paul Simerson? They're very, very close as Darren Howell has had an off right at the end of the race, and that's contact with Paul Dixon, I believe. So Dixon has gone around, and Darren Howell then and Paul Dixon making contact. And that right in the final stages of the race we can see in replay. But Peter Hunter held off Paul Simerson and was able to hold on to that P2 place in Copa Shell. He is ahead of Paul Simerson. So Pranav Vangala, Gilbert Yates, P1 and P2 in the Ferrari Challenge Trofeo Pirelli. So I have to say well done to Pranav Vangala. Obviously, hard yards to Gilbert Yates, who had some issue, no question, because he was slowing significantly. And of course, Callum Leatham taking P3. That is his first podium on his very young racing career. And welcome to the Ferrari Challenge to Callum Leatham, who gets a podium on his first race weekend. That's not bad, is it? Well done to Mike Dewhurst, of course, race winner in Copa Shell. So the mix of Trofeo Pirelli and Copa Shell cars, of course, in the one race. They're racing here in Navarra in Spain, done and dusted. We don't have too long to wait before we head off to Alton Park between the 16th and 17th of May for the next round of the Ferrari Challenge UK. There is Peter Hunter, who takes P2 for our Copa Shell cars ahead of Paul Simerson. That's how hard Paul Simerson was having a go at Peter Hunter. And very nearly made it all the way around the outside. Peter Hunter, well, certainly made the car wide, but it's his right to do it. He's protecting his track position, and he did protect it really rather well. But Paul Simerson really having a go to try and find a way by. And it's big thank you to all the marshals, of course. Those that wear the orange overalls. Without them, we wouldn't be able to enjoy this sport that we love. Great camaraderie between Peter Hunter and Paul Simerson there, and they also vying their thanks to the volunteers. And here is Pranav Vangala. Oh my God, I can hear him cry. And his mum is congratulating him. Oh, well done, Pranav. Oh, and look at that. And Gilbert Yates, one of the very first to go and congratulate him. That's what we love. This camaraderie in the Ferrari Challenge is magnificent. So the cars all making their way into the pit lane. Jumping out of the car will be John Marquardt. A very creditable performance from John Marquardt as well, who finished P4. Here is the confirmation of the classification. Pranav Vangala taking the win in Trofeo Pirelli ahead of Gilbert Yates and Callum Leatham. John Marquardt is a P4, Fedor P5, Bal Sidhu P6, Oscar Rincevich P7, and Joe Dean, unfortunately, not classified. He, of course, out earlier on in the race.
Tell me when you're ready.
So here we can see the Shell drivers. It's Mike Dewhurst ahead of Peter Hunter and Paul Simerson. Paul really giving it a go right at the end. Then it was Stephen Dobson, Paul Rogers, Paul Dixon, Darren Howell, Jonathan Satchel ahead of Hussein Sert and Sean Rand. So that's the way it looks for our Copa Shell drivers. And as I say, all the drivers making their way into the pit lane right now, but I'm sure Amanda is standing by with our Trofeo Pirelli winner, Pranav Vangala.
I am indeed with race winner Pranav Vangala. Huge congratulations. The smile on your face says just how much this win means to you.
Thank you so much, Amanda. It really does. To come here and, a new car, new country to race in, it's an incredible feeling. I mean, everything goes out to fellow competitors as well. Gilbert gave me such an amazing race, and I think last season he had a big gap on me. So it's fun to actually be racing properly this year round.
Now, we really saw in the race yesterday as well as today just how your racecraft has really come on as well. At one point, it looked like Gilbert had a sort of 2 or 3 seconds ahead of you quite comfortably, but then all of a sudden you were on him.
I think there's a couple of things here. Number one is like any race, just heads down, try and be consistent, don't get flustered by people behind or in front of you. And then the other is tire management. I think it's a warm day, there's new concrete on the circuit. All of that together probably means that you need to sort of be willing to slow down at the beginning, maybe to make up some time at the end.
Well, listen, very valuable points for you. It's going to be the top step of the podium, and you've got your parents here as well to celebrate.
Yeah, I mean, that's one of the best parts of Ferrari Challenge. The family, my actual family as well as the Ferrari family are always here to support, and it's an incredible feeling. I feel very lucky.
Pranav Vangala, huge congratulations. Make your way up to the podium.
Well done, Pranav. Well done, Amanda, for getting hold of him. Let's see if Amanda is able to get hold of our Copa Shell race winner, which is Mike Dewhurst. Mike Dewhurst driving the number 78 car for Dick Lovett Swindon. Let's hear from him now. Winner, Copa Shell.
Mike Dewhurst, winner of Copa Shell. Wow, 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 wow. My goodness, the battles that you were having, when you got yourself out into the lead, it then looked like it was really comfortable. That's my summation. What was it like from where you were sitting?
Yeah, I think it was pretty tricky at the start. There was a lot going on. I got into the lead early on, got a good start, and then Paul ambushed me and got past, and it was a good move. And then, I just basically kept the pressure on him until he kept making little mistakes. And I thought sooner or later he's going to make a bigger mistake. So as long as I'm right on his rear bumper, as soon as he makes that mistake, I'm through.
Now, that mistake that he made, it looked like it was the back marker. The two of them just got themselves not tangled up, but they've focused on one another. They went off and you optimised.
Yeah, I think we were catching one of the Pirelli cars, so he was going a good pace, and I was just pushing them all the way into that corner, and they all tried to sort of I guess they were just trying to go quicker through there every lap, and they just ran wide. So it was really great.
So great race for you, pole position. You may have slipped down into second, but you've got that win back.
Yeah, that's brilliant. Yeah, I'm really pleased with that.
Great stuff. Well done. Huge congratulations. Make your way up to the podium as well. Really happy for you.
Well done, Amanda, getting hold of our 2 race winners that we were seeing on the top steps of the podium in due course. And another really good race. Credit to all of our drivers, whether they're Trofeo Pirelli or Copa Shell, for Ferrari Challenge UK, having done a brilliant job here in the Circuito de Navarra. Race 2 gets underway for our Trofeo Pirelli and Copa Shell cars as they head under the lighting gantry. Paul Simerson trying to make moves very early on in the race. Of course, Mike Dewhurst had put it on pole position for our Copa Shell drivers. Once again, Pranav Vangala trying to get around the outside of Gilbert Yates, but nothing doing. However, Paul Simerson was utterly determined to get by and take up the lead of the Copa Shell race. That move did work in the end. Everywhere else there was lots going on, and unfortunately for Joe Dean, it would be the end of his second race in the Ferrari Challenge UK. A little racing incident took him out of the race, and for Oscar Rincevich, one or two pieces of the car not perhaps where they should be, and that caused him to have to come into the pit lane. Paul Simerson, with a rare error trying to get past a back-marking car, allowed Mike Dewhurst once again to pick up the lead in Copa Shell, and he was determined to keep it that way. But Paul Simerson was just as determined to attack, but in so doing, found his car going in the wrong direction. That played into the hands of Peter Hunter, and initially Stephen Dobson as well. But Gilbert Yates, all of a sudden, the big gap he had in Trofeo Pirelli over Pranav Vangala had disappeared, and Pranav Vangala went through, and then Pranav Vangala would win for Trofeo Pirelli, and for Copa Shell it would be Mike Dewhurst that would be victorious. Pranav Vangala was congratulated in the pit lane. So those were the highlights of race 2, and of course we will be heading up for 2 podiums. 1 podium for our Trofeo Pirelli drivers and 1 podium for our Copa Shell drivers. They will come in due course. And another part that's so very nice about the Ferrari Challenge is that everyone that is involved will head to the podium to applaud and support those that have gone onto the podium from race 2. From here, I remind you, we head off to Alton Park, 16th, 17th of May for round 2 of the Ferrari Challenge UK. We return to the British shores, but fantastic to launch it here in Spain. Let's go to the podium next. So there you can see the champagne awaits.
Okay.
And Amanda awaits as well to bring us all the action down there on the podium. There you can see Peter Hunter and Pranav Vangala in discussion. And just to the right of your picture was Tom Fleming, one of the driver coaches, another former Ferrari Challenge superstar. And that is the podium being readied as we speak. The drivers we'll see: Pranav Vangala, Gilbert Yates and Callum Leatham. For Pirelli drivers, for the Shell drivers, it's going to be Mike Dewhurst. Then it will be Peter Hunter and Paul Simerson that we will see.
Getting the support from you guys who are veterans of the series, really.
Not that old.
And we are going to
Here's Amanda.
start
Oh, thank you for
with the third position, and a big, huge congratulations for Callum Leatham and Trofeo Pirelli. Well done to Callum. Second place, Gilbert Yates. Almost hesitating there, Gilbert. And our race winner, Pranav Vangala. And trophies are presented by Miguel Molina, the Ferrari factory driver. We also would like to invite a representative from HRO in to make their way up. There we go. Gilbert Yates receiving his trophy, and Pranav receiving his. I seem to remember, Pranav, yesterday you dropped yours. Oh, no, it wasn't you, sorry, apologies. So, a photograph for the 3 winning drivers on the podium.
Okay, guys, can I?
Right, Mr. HRO in making a speedy exit before
That's it, that's perfect.
the messy stuff starts. And of course, before they do that, when the photographs have finished, the Pirelli, Right, guys, before you do that, we've got the Pirelli Motorsport Manager.
So yes, of course, Pranav Vangala will have been presented with the Pirelli Award for being the best of the Trofeo Pirelli drivers, as we see the top 3 in super slow-mo. Callum Leatham taking P3, Gilbert Yates taking P2, and Pranav Vangala taking his first win of the season. I have a sneaky suspicion it's not going to be his only win this season. Those the Trofeo Pirelli 1, 2, 3. Still to come, of course, our Copa Shell podium as well. And Harry Mary's been down there and cleaned up the podium. Let's get ready to see our Copa Shell stars. And once again, it's over to you, Amanda Stretton.
Thank you very much, Dave. Yes, getting ready for the Copa Shell podium. Just waiting, I think. I'm waiting for the nod. We've still got a driver or 2 missing. I can see 2 of them. I can see 3 of them. I think we're ready. Yes, we're ready. Right, so would you please give a big round of applause to P3 in Coperchel. It is Paul Simerson. Very helpfully, this is very kindly being pointed out that he's in third place by the man who finished second. It is Peter Hunter. Very helpful, Peter. Thank you for that. But the race winner in Coperchel, it is, of course, Mike Dewhurst. And would a representative from Dick Lovett Swindon like to make their way up as the trophies are presented? Again, Miguel Molina, Ferrari factory driver, handing the third position trophy over to Paul Simerson, and second to Peter Hunter. There you go, Mike Dewhurst receiving his trophy and the Dick Lovett trophy as well. So big smiles all around. Drivers now gathering on the top step for a final photograph. Oh, Peter, stop that. Before, here we go. Paul's getting himself ready. And, oh no.
Thank you, Amanda. You managed to hold that together. It was Lucy Hawkins from Dick Lovett Swindon to receive the award on the podium. Great to see you here in Navarra, Lucy. And well done to the top three then in Coperchel. Paul Simerson, P3, Peter Hunter, P2, and of course, taking P1, Mike Dewhurst for Dick Lovett Swindon. And in terms of the Drivers' Championship, it's tied to the top. There's just 2 points between P1 and P2 before we head off to Alton Park. That's Mike Dewhurst and Paul Simerson, then Peter Hunter, P3 in the championship, ahead of Stephen Dobson, Paul Rogers, Darren Howell, Paul Dixon, and Jonathan Satchel. With Hussein Certain, Sean Ran, P9 and P10. So from the Circuito de Navarra, on behalf of Amanda and myself and the entire production crew, we have had a great time here in Spain. What a place to launch the 2025 Ferrari Challenge UK calendar. From here, we head off to Alton Park, 16th to the 17th of May for round 2 of the Ferrari Challenge UK. Please make sure you can join us there if you possibly can. But from Spain, for the moment, goodbye. Thank you for watching.